Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and since it's Women's History Month, I'm here today to talk to you about Stranger with My Face. This came out in 2009 and it's a Lifetime movie, and it stars that of Alex Johnson. She is the one from Devil's Diary. She was in the third season of So Weird. She's primarily a Canadian singer, but she's done some acting here and there. For a singer, her acting is actually pretty good. Like, I normally hate it when singers are like actors and stuff, but hers is pretty decent and stuff, and I like it. She's very gorgeous, and her voice is just breathtakingly beautiful. I never really heard none of her older music, but I remember hearing her singing voice on So Weird, and there's a song there I like. I really probably should check out her older stuff, but like just the sound of her voice when she talks is just like gorgeous and stuff. Like she has an amazing voice. I saw her in the episode of like Smallville playing Saturn Girl. Her acting was a little stiff in that. I think it was pretty okay and So Weird, and I liked it in this movie and the other one. Now, for a Lifetime movie, this was actually pretty good. It's based off a book with the same name written by Lewis Duncan back in 1981. And it deals with two girls that are twin sisters that astral project each other's selves into, like, the spirits and stuff. One girl named Lori Stratton, who's supposed to be Native American in the book, but they changed her to white in the movie. Ugh, I hate when they do that. Anyway, she discovers she has a twin sister when people start seeing her around town. And so the story gets very crazy. Now in the movie they did change a lot other than just the race. They left out an entire subplot with this whole like necklace and stuff like that. And so yeah. Now, the book has a Wikipedia page, but the movie does not. However, the movie does have a Wiki fandom page. However, the Wiki fandom page is incorrect. It states that Lori and Leah have a biological father who is the dude in the movie that dies in the beginning. That's not true. In the movie, he's the adoptive father of Lori. And so I remember I saw this many years ago on YouTube because I became very fascinated with that of Alice Johnson. So I wanted to see some other stuff she was in. And so I remember watching this movie when I watched Devil's Diary, and it was a pretty good movie. And then I forgot all about this movie until last year. So I went on YouTube to go look for it, and at some point they had taken it off. The YouTube police got to it. But then somebody uploaded it again. And so I'm like, cool, I get to watch it again. Now I believe this is also on Paramount Plus. Now the actress who plays her mother is Catherine Hicks from Seventh Heaven. She's also the mother of Andy from Chucky. She only appeared in the first movie. I have no idea why she's never appeared since. I read that she's in a mental institution, but supposedly with Cult of Chucky, she's out now and married. So I don't know why they haven't fully brought her back. Now, this movie, like I said before, is pretty good. It's pretty solid. However, towards the end, with the climax, it gets a bit weak. Also, even though I do appreciate and I really enjoy Alex Johnson's acting, she's better at playing the good twin than she is the evil twin. Because when she does the evil twin, she is evil, but she's not really acting too much evil, and her demeanor is very similar to that of the good twin. So it's kind of like hard to tell sometimes, but you know just by who they are, by the clothes they're wearing and stuff like that. But like, yeah, that's like really like my only nitpick of the movie. Other than that, like I really like it, but like I said, they did change a lot. Like they left out Helen's dad and the necklace and like and like all this other stuff. And so like other than that, like I think it's a pretty solid movie and stuff. I wish they could have just added more intensity when it came to that of the evil twin, but I understand she didn't want to like screw things up because like she's trying to pretend to be the other sister. But at the end, it should have been more intense. I remember when I saw this movie, the first thing that came to my mind was this episode of the original Charm when Prue astral projected herself, and also that one episode of So Weird in season one when that one girl kept astral projecting herself and stuff. And so, like, I do find this to be a very fascinating movie. I just hate how they whitewashed it and everything. Because if it was a Native American, like, family, then or not family, but if the girls, the twins, supposed to be Native Americans, and they should. But you know how Hollywood and North Hollywood is. North Hollywood is the Hollywood version of Canada. And you know how they feel about Native Americans back in the day. Just go look that up. And so, yeah. Um, but I gotta give it up, like I said before, for a um Lifetime movie, it's pretty decent. Like I could have seen this being put out in theaters if it just had more intensity to it and stuff. But this is a horror novel. I was gonna put my Halloween template on there, but it really doesn't have that much Halloween feel other than just an evil twin, and that's just about it. So like I just decided not to. But like pretty much the movie starts off. Oh, this was on DVD at one point. It was a double feature with another movie, but they no longer print it. Also, there's only two copies left, and that's on eBay, but they're both used. And so basically with this movie, we have Laurie Stratton, and she's a painter. Her dad taught her how to paint. One night when she's painting, she sees her father in the archway at the door. And he's looking sad, depressed, kind of ghoulish. And he's all like, I tried to save you in the middle of the road and blah, blah. Why were you in the middle of the road? And basically, he then disappears. Only to um, be interrupted by her mom. And her mom is like, honey, there's been an accident. Your father was in a car accident. And so she's kind of confused. She's all like, how can that be? Like, I see like dad here and stuff. And so like she's like, your father, no, he was like, out in the middle of the road and he got hit by a car and stuff like that. So needless to say, the family packs up their stuff and they move from New York back to their home in a small town. In order to get to this town, it's on an island. You have to take a ferry because they have that home there that I guess kind of like I don't know. It's not. It's kind of like their second home, maybe. So like they're pretty. I don't know. They seem like a wealthy family, but not really. So they inherited somehow. But anyway, that's not really that explained too well. But like Lori doesn't want to go back home. She misses her friends in New York, and like she her sister teases her about like meeting up with like her kind of her ex crush, I guess you could say, from when she was growing up. Now Lori is adopted and she knows she's adopted, so it's not like one of those big revelations or nothing like that. And so what's wrong with my internet? And so like so she's trying to adjust and everything like that. Her and her mom constantly get into the movie because she's just kind of like, at one point in time, her mom wants to sell her paintings for money because apparently they don't have money. And so like, what is it? So like, I can't even talk. So like, they don't have that much money, and they have to like sell her paintings, but she doesn't want to, and she's very adamant about that. And because cause that's something her father taught her. So her and her mom bicker about that because they're having financial troubles and stuff. And then so when she goes to like school the next day, because they have to take a ferry to like the other part of the island where like the school is, which is kind of cool if you think about it. Like that, would love to take a ferry to like the school instead of like a school bus, you know? And so like some of the kids that she meet there and she befriends, they tell her that like, we saw you at the bonfire, blah 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 blah. You went someplace with this one dude named like Jeff and stuff like that, and like all kind of other stuff. And she's kind of like, what are you talking about? And that's something that's kind of weirding her out. Like a lot of people are seeing her around town, and she knows she's never been there. And so when she meets Jeff at school, like he likes her and stuff because they didn't do nothing. They didn't have time because she disappeared after that. And so like she's all like, look, man, I don't know who you are or anything like that. And I don't know what you're talking about. So he's feeling really hurt. And he's hurt even more because he's kind of like a town outcast because of the way he looks. He was in a car accident when he was a teenager, so he walks with a cane and a limp. He has scars all over his face, and people really don't want nothing to do with him. He looks like the bad boy type with the leather jackets and the slick back hair, but he's really kind and like sweet. She befriends a girl named Helen. And so like they become like really good friends. She's also in the book. They left out her dad in the movie. And so one night, her sister Alexis is screaming, and so like Lori runs in there and she's like, what's wrong? She's like, yo, what's wrong? You choked me and everything. She's all like, no, I didn't. I've been in my room the entire time. She's like, no, I woke up, saw you standing over me, choking me and everything. So because of this, the sister is now scared of her. And Lori and Shelly's the mom, they get into a huge argument. So like, oh, you believe her over me because I'm the adoptive one, you know what I'm saying? And her mom's all like, that's not true. I love you all like equally and stuff. So at some point in time, Lori and Helen are in the library and they're just kind of like talking about what happened, and Helen is just kind of like, maybe you're making this up or something like that. But then they in the library and they find a book on astral projection. So now she kind of wonders, is she somehow leaving her body, you know what I'm saying, without her knowing it? And so like this guy named Gordon in this movie, that's her crush from back in the day. They're like flirting a little bit, and they go back to her place, and at night her mom's out of town in New York. The sister didn't want to stay there because she's scared of like Lori, so she went to go spend the night at somebody else's house. And so Gordon and her are talking. They're kind of making out a little bit, but he's kind of like getting a little too handsy, and she keeps pushing him off, but he keeps pushing himself on her. And then all of a sudden he jumps off her and he's all like, what did you do to me? And she's like, what are you talking about? He's all like, you started choking me and everything. She's like, what are you like, we could see nothing's happening. She kept pushing him off, but she didn't choke him. So it's kind of like what the world's kind of going on. So at some point in time when she's in her room, she keeps looking at the mirror, and the mirror is moving, like her reflection's moving all on its own. So this is starting to make her think more about astral projection and stuff. She tells her mom that, this stuff, and her mom really doesn't believe her until she's all like, did the girl contact you? And she's like, what are you talking about? Well, then at some point the next day, before the whole Gordon thing, her mom reveals to her, or maybe after the whole Gordon thing, her mom reveals to her, you have a twin sister. When we adopted you, there was a twin, but we didn't have enough money to like, um, get your twin. So of course Lori's pissed and everything. And she's all like, we thought when you was older, maybe you go look for her. Now you gotta imagine what she's going through. She's in her hometown. Her old crush turns out to be a pervert who like kept like almost like assaulted her and stuff. There's this town outcast who's all like, we almost made out, and she's kind of like, I don't know what the world you talking about. People around school are now making fun of her because of the whole Gordon thing. And so she's becoming like an outcast. And now on top of that, her sister doesn't want to be around her because she's all like, oh, you tried to kill me and everything. And now she finds out she has a twin. a twin she's never met, another part of her soul she'll never get to see. And so that has to be like really like hurting and stuff for her, you know? And she's a teenage girl on top of that. So she's going through all this like thing of emotion. And so at some point in time, Leah, her twin sister, meets with her. She astral projects, and Leah's all like, "Oh, I found you," and blah blah blah. And she's all like, "Is that you? People been seen around town." She's like, "Yeah, I've been like trying to get like near you, closer to you and stuff." So then Leah tells her a story about how like when they was adopted, she went from foster home to foster home, but then her one family locked her in like a basement and they feed her through a hole in like the wall and you have to save me and crap like that. So of course Lori is like worried. And so she tells like Helen and stuff like that. And so Helen doesn't necessarily believe her and everything. So one day Helen calls Shelly up and she's all like, your daughter's acting kind of weird. We need to talk. I'm in like the park near your home. That's not really like a park. It's just more like a big open like field on a cliffside. And so she's waiting for Shelly to come. But then all of a sudden somebody runs up to her. And then when Shelly gets there, she sees Helen down below the cliffside, hurt. So after that, Helen is now in the hospital in a coma. She doesn't know how she got there. Lori is really upset. And so, like, then she starts to befriend Jeff because Lori has no friends no more. And Jeff was the only person that she now knows. But in a way, they become friends and she starts to tell him and everything. So then when she goes home, Leah's there is all like, don't tell nobody what I told you and stuff. And all this other crap. And so, like, basically, for some odd reason, I don't know why it's written like this, but Jeff, who's crippled and everything, he decides he's gonna walk home in the middle of the night. Literally in the middle of the night on the open road and everything. And there's a big old semi-truck car coming towards him. Well, he sees who he thinks is Lori standing in front of the truck talking about, help me, help me. And so he runs to go save her. But then Lori actually shows up in the middle of the night. It's a weird scene. It's cool, but it's written weird. Like the setup is weird. Like why is he in the middle of the road knowing he can barely walk and like all this other stuff, and she just happens to show up. So she calls out to him. She pushes him out the way, and she's all like, "What were you doing in the middle of the road?" And blah blah. He's all like, "I was trying to save you. And how did you get from here to over there? You were just over here." And so like she's so like, "This must be Leah," and he's like, "Well, why would Leah want to kill me?" and everything. So Lori is starting to suspect, and like she's starting to wonder what the world's going on with Leah. Could she be like an evil twin? Well, she's trying to track her down physically and everything. And with the adoption papers, she finds out that she was adopted by like the Abbotts. So she calls the Abbott house. Well, before she calls there, she's now learned how to astral project herself by reading books. And when she astral projected herself, she went into the Abbott's house for some bizarre reason. It just drew her there. And so now she knows like the name of like the people, this and that. So she calls up and she's all like, "Hi, I'm your daughter's twin sister." And he's all like, he doesn't want nothing to do with Lori. He's all like, if you do meet your twin, stay away from her. She's not the type of person that you want to get involved with. And he's not at liberty to say, and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, what the world happened? And so Lori finds out that there was like a house fire, and that the Abbott's real life daughter ended up dying, but Leah somehow survived. They believe Leah is the one who said it. And so then she astral projects herself again at one point, and she sees that Leah is strapped to a bed in the mental institute. But before she does that, her and Leah have another discussion. And she's all like, "You have to help me and everything. They strapped me to like a bed and blah, blah, blah." And it's kind of like, well, hold up. Why would they strap you to a bed if you're locked in a basement and you've been there since a kid? So her story's not really adding up. So then Lori kind of like tricks her a little bit. And, well, she starts asking her a bunch of questions. So like, were you in the middle of the road trying to kill Jeff and blah, blah, blah. And what the world happened with Gordon, blah, 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 and stuff like that. And she's all like, "I know this is tragic. Like, Jeff was in the middle of the road like your dad and got hit by that car." And Lori's kind of like, "I never told you that." And so she now knows it's Leah for some bizarre reason trying to kill everybody that Lori knows and loves. And so, like, long story short, she's all like, somehow I astral projected to like the Abbott's house. She's all like, oh, you must be getting close and near and blah, 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 and stuff like that. And so she knows something up. So she astral projects again. She goes to the mental ward. She sees her sister. She overhears the orderlies talking about how Leah is nuts in the head and how she tried to like attack like the staff and like everything like that. So when Lori goes back to her house to get back inside her body, because you have to go back in your body when you astral project at some point in time, she sees that her body is up and about, sitting on the bed. It's Leah inside of Lori's body. And so the big revelation happens. Leah tells her one day she was in the mental ward and they have a library, and there she saw a magazine of the Stratton family and the father and Lori painting and stuff, talking about how you had the better life and I had the crappy life and all this other crap. And then she reveals she killed her foster sister and everything because she said no matter what, when you go to these foster homes, they always love their actual kid more than you. She's very disturbed in the head. But then she reveals to Lori, she's all like, moving things around takes a lot more focus and crap like that. And you're new to this whole astral projection. See, she was hoping that Lori would learn how to astral project once she told her about it and stuff, because she just wanted her body. She wanted to get out that mental place. And she wants to take over Lori's life and all this other crap. And so she tells her after a certain period of time, if you're not back in your body, you basically just fade away and everything your soul does. So now she's trying to correct all the mistakes she made when projecting herself around town. So she tries to befriend these like mean girls at the school that Lori doesn't like. She makes up with Gordon and everything, even though she's the one who chose him. And so Lori's freaking out. Like she can't like contact nobody. But she tries to focus as hard as she can. And she starts moving Jeff's like cane and everything. Because when Jeff went to go talk to Lori, of course, and Leah's in the body, Leah doesn't want nothing to do with him. So he's kind of weirded out, but he thinks it might be the other sister. When she starts moving his cane around, he then knows that like what's up. And so he's calling like the Abbott's house and like stuff like that. And so at home, Lori leaves a message for her mom, like the word help and everything. And she conjures up enough strength to paint a picture that her father painted for her. And she paints another girl in that picture, hoping that the mom would like put two and two together. Well, at some point, the mom talks to Helen because Helen woke up and she's all like, it was the weirdest thing. I was waiting for you and I saw Lori and she pushed me off the cliff and everything. So Shelly is starting to suspect some things. Needless to say, Leah pulls like a whole like crazy trip on like the family and talking about how she's gonna like, I'm your daughter now, blah blah, tries to hurt like Shelly and stuff. And so like this is when the act gets like the third act gets kind of weak. She just freaks out, runs outside. Shelly, Alexis, and Jeff are out there, and they all like, look, man, we can help you. Just give our daughter back, and blah, blah. And with the cane in her hand, she's like, no, leave me alone. And she's all like, nobody's going to live this perfect body, and blah, blah. So she jumps off the cliffside, but she falls in the freaking water. Convenient. And so next thing you know, at some point in time, somebody went and rescued the Leah Lori body and stuff, right? And apparently it was Jeff. I'm thinking, how in the world did he swim and he has a busted up leg? But anyways, Lori has now went back inside her actual body. And so, like, now everything's peachy keen. She's back to painting because she had a phobia of painting after the dad died. And she gets a call from Mr. Abbott, Leah's father and stuff. And he's all like, since you're next to kin, you should know that Leah slipped into a coma and died. And so the mental ward cremated her body and everything. So then at the very end of the movie, we see Leah pounding on the glass, screaming for help and everything because she no longer has a body to jump into. So she's about to fade away into nothingness. All in all, like I said, it's a pretty good movie. It's just that third act is kind of like fuzzy and everything. It's kind of weak. But other than that, it's a pretty good movie. I just wish Leah would have ran around town more, messing things up for like Lori, and people like really accusing Lori of this and that, and almost like criminal charge. That would have been like a whole lot funner. But I get why, because she wants to live in Lori's like body, you know. But all in all, y'all should really check this out. It's a really good movie. Happy Women's History Month, everybody. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.